Hello, this is Michelle. Let me get into slideshow. Okay. So, this is a recording about an organization of educators called Woke Kindergarten. There's one particular teacher who, as I understand it, kind of founded this work, and you can look into it further. They have a great Instagram page that I follow, and they're always doing amazing things. And I do send them a monthly contribution to reimburse them for the ways that I use the material in my course, as we should all be honoring the work of people who are putting things out there like this instead of in a formal, traditional format like a textbook or something. So I did want you to know that I do that, and I always give credit to work such as Woke Kindergarten, because they're doing important work that's every bit as valuable and valid as any of the textbooks or other items that you might get in your courses. But they do not promote their work in those traditional ways. So I did want to introduce you to them. I would highly recommend you follow them. They have many, many, many good ideas that we should all be thinking about and reframing our point of view about how we're working with young children. So I'm going to start with this quote. We are all musicians in a great human orchestra. It is now time to play the Save the World Symphony. You are not required to play a solo, but you are required to know what instrument you hold and play it as well as you can. You are required to find your place in the score. What we love, we must protect. That's what love means. From the right to know and the duty to inquire flows the obligation to act. So this really reminds me of that first chapter question from Teaching to Thinking. And, I can't help but think that all of the answers to all the things we're going to be doing this semester involve this question of what kind of world do we want to live in, what kind of people do we want to be, and what are our values in terms of how we are raising our children. If you're involved in early childhood, you are raising the children of our country. You're spending a lot of time with them. You have a lot of influence with them. And we should act accordingly. So understanding this quote really helps me bring myself back to why I'm doing what I'm doing, and that I need to know things. I need to inquire about things, and I need to figure out where my action needs to be. So in early childhood, we're always advocating on behalf of a better system for children, as you've now discovered over the many weeks we've been together. And I'm hoping the visit to Sacred Heart will show you an example of one school's response to all of this work that they have studied. So keep that in mind as we go through this PowerPoint and you complete the assignment connected to it. So one of the pieces that Woke Kindergarten does really well is they have these great Instagram posts with PowerPoint slides. And this is one of them I really love. How do we make space for discussion and opportunities for kids to share, access their feelings and emotions in creative ways? So, for example, what's your weather today? That's a simple question. And we ask kids a lot of questions about how they're feeling, how they're doing. So this is asking us to make sure that we make space for that to happen every day, first of all. Let them have a chance to access their feelings, so give them time to connect with how they're feeling. Maybe they can't answer you right away. So a lot of kids will say, good. So they're asking us to get more involved and creative and engaged with kids. And this is kind of this whole idea of joining your attention, that sort of thing. And there are lots of other ways to check in. And they have this suggestion also that you have check-in cards to access during, they call it work time. I'm interpreting that to mean centers time, or any time kids are actively engaged in different activities around the classroom, or outside. And those check-in cards can say things like, I need time to rest, I need a break, I need a laugh, I need some help, I need more time. So you can work with kids to develop these check-in cards, and they can have photographs on them, pictures that represent certain things. And this creation of these cards and being creative about all the different things that kids might need, including one I would add, I don't know what I need. I feel lost, or something like that. So be creative about those, think about those, invest in those, show kids how to use those. When they don't use them, you can bring them to them and say, oh, it sounds like maybe this card might be how you're feeling. So these are ways that we really get invested in the idea that we care about kids' feelings. And most of the time we say we care about their feelings. We know their feelings generate all of their activity and actions. However, we really don't invest in specific, engaging ways to help them with how they're feeling. So we're going to talk about more of these things over the semester, but I love these check-in cards, and also look forward to hearing any creative ways you have to get kids connected to how they're feeling. So this is another way to bring home into the classroom. And all homes and every home is a culture, right? So there's cultures within cultures within cultures. And every home is its own culture, no matter who lives there. And one of the things we always need to be reminding ourselves of is who lives in the home that this child comes from, so that we can honor that. And one of the things that we can do is honor their routines and discuss routines and discussing why they do things the way they do. So something they are asking us to do is talk to children about, well, how do you do your snack time at home? Or do you have snack time at home? Or how do you eat at home? A lot of times we do this with a real tone of judgment in it. We're actually wanting to judge how they do things at home because we don't like the way the child is doing something in our classroom. And sometimes I hear teachers say, well, I'm sure you're not allowed to do that at home. So, and there's a tone of judgment in that usually. So what we want to do is flip that and be interested in it. And you've heard me say this a million times by now, but getting interested rather than evaluating or judging is a really different approach. And looking for ways to accommodate those routines in our own settings is a good idea. And you can even have weeks where you say, this week we're going to do lunchtime the way so-and-so's family does it, or so-and-so's home does it. Sometimes I say home instead of family. Not all children are lucky enough to live with their family, so to speak, but their family is their home. So, we always want to be honoring all of that. And again, they're looking for playful ideas for choices to attach to routines like singing and dancing. Are we going to sing through the lineup routine today? Are we going to dance our way through playtime cleanup? Get creative. Create a flavor jar to house the playful choices that kids can choose from. So, this is, it went back to the other one. Creating these flavor jars, I love to put choices. And when you're investigating how kids do things at home, you can create little flavor jar cards to put in there that are like the way so-and-so's family does it at home. And getting creative and not always feeling tied to doing everything the same way can introduce a very playful feeling into the classroom, and you will find it more joyful yourself. So I love that idea. Rather than, this is how we line up, we set the timer, we there's all these very we're kind of stuck in early childhood in some of these practices. So they're asking us to lift ourselves out of that, and I love that. How do we develop shared classroom values in the form of agreements and actions? So you're shifting the conversation, of course. There's this really hard thing we have to do, is shift from you do it because you're supposed to do it, or I said to do it, or it's the right thing to do, all kinds of very control-oriented approaches to what kids can and cannot do when they're with us. And we need to shift it to safety. And by safety, we do not want to alarm children all the time about how safe they are. So please don't hear that. Hear that we take care of each other, and that's how we keep each other safe. So one of the things that's really nice to do is, if a child is on the playground and doing something where somebody could get hurt or they could get hurt, we shift from, I told you not to do that, or that's we don't do that on the playground. I hear that a lot. We don't do blah, 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 blah on the playground. Instead, what if we were to say, hey, remember, we're trying to keep everyone safe on the playground. So here's what we need to do instead. Here's what we need to do. And so rather than, I was about to say instead of, see, it gets in you, right, as a teacher. So we reframe these conversations. And then I love how they support accountability for when children need to be accountable to each other by calling them repair conversations between kids and teachers, between kids, and so on. So let's talk in class some more about these repair conversations. I've already mentioned to you a peacemaking table. I hope I have, if we get to everything in every class that we've had so far. Stories can be repair conversations, and so on. So I love this idea, though, that we switch our thinking to we keep each other safe. So what if we looked at our own classrooms and redesigned what the jobs chart looks like and what it means to be a good helper? So this is a big feature of classrooms that Woke Kindergarten has some great ideas about, so that the kids are looking thoughtfully at the classroom and caring for it, and ask them, why do they think it's important to care for the classroom? And how do we make space for more than one person to take on different roles? So there's always a line leader. What if there was what if there were line leaders, plural? What would that look like? So they're encouraging us to really look at these roles and how we've made them into, again, we're stuck in early childhood in so many things. So how can we unravel some of that and look at the jobs chart instead of looking at it, you do this job, and then rotate it every week and it gets very kind of stale and predictable? What if we created a care system map? And you draw a map of your classroom, or you have kids walk around the classroom and you take notes as you go. Well, here's how you take care of the block area and get their ideas about it. Here's how you take care of the art table. Here's how you take care of this space and that space, and so on. And also who can help you with that, rather than feeling like everybody has to clean up all their own messes all the time. What if it was a shared responsibility and we worked together? And when I do this workshop with teachers, I have them actually create a map of their classrooms and rethink. So I'm going to ask you to do that when you're at Sacred Heart. Really look at the classrooms. I'm hoping we'll have time to do that. If not, then you can do it on your own Just think of a classroom you're in or any classroom, and how could we map it and rethink what goes on in those classrooms and how we make a map of what roles people play rather than a jobs chart. So I love that idea so much, and I've seen teachers reinvent this and really create just incredible differences in their classroom community. So that is the end of this little PowerPoint and presentation. And you can read over the reflection assignment that goes with it, and don't hesitate to ask questions.